Well, hello, this is the huggable, the lovable Big Bear StarCraft 2, and I'm here to cast yet another game for you guys. I'm sure that you guys will enjoy this game. It is a special little treat, and it is a TVT. Now, I do consider all the games I give you guys a special little treat, just because, you know what, every single player is, in fact, extremely talented, and I love watching every single player play, because everyone has their really, own unique play style. You never really see someone who plays exactly the same as another person, and that's what I think makes StarCraft 2 so much fun. And also, you know, you obviously can't account for every single, play style or push that another player will in fact account for. For example, you know, you can't really say oh, well, if he pushes at this time, you know, I mean, I'll have to do this, and it always changes. You know, a game is never exactly the same as another game, and no matter how many games you play, it'll always be slightly different. There'll always be a slightly different situation, and I think that's what makes StarCraft 2 so much fun, is that, people say it's a version of high-speed chess. Well, I say that chess is a slower version of StarCraft 2, and it's just because StarCraft 2, you have to be so adaptive, and you have to just say, wow, okay, he's pushing here and I have to do this. There are so many situations that you just never encounter in StarCraft 2, and no matter how many games you play, you can never account for every single possible situation, because there are just so many opportunities. I mean, there is infinity, and it is more likely for the infinite thing to happen than it is for it to not happen, just because you get in awkward situations, like, for example, maybe a Terran player will be pushing here, and then you say, oh crap, okay, I can't beat that, so I'm just going to push around here like this, and then just come right up the ramp here, like so. And I mean, and then the other Terran player then has to say, okay, well, what am I going to do? And it's just immediate assessments over and over again of, you know, what the other person has to do. And I think that's why StarCraft 2 is, in fact, so much fun to watch and so much fun to cast, just because you never really know what the two players are doing. Now, we do have a TVT, like I said earlier before, and we do have Emperor Cass, the yellow Terran player. Now, Emperor Cass is a very strong player, but something I've noticed from Emperor, which is kind of weird, is that he just kind of gets lucky. Not to take away from his skill, because he is an incredibly skilled player, but the best skill to have sometimes is luck. For example, I saw him completely shut down a Banshee attack because he was just pushing in with 4 Marines, and the Banshee just happened to be rallied right over the Marines, and they walked over it perfectly and sniped it. I mean, it's just luck like that, and I mean, I would rather be lucky than have skill any day, but Emperor Cass has both. So that is very good. Now, that's not to take away from Imba Strelock, the blue Terran, who is in fact spawning in the top left position. Imba Strelock is one of the most talented players I've ever seen in my life, and that's not to say anything and take away from Emperor Cass, because like I said, Emperor Cass is also very talented as well. But Strelock, I mean, this guy is just good. He beat Happy in tournament gameplay, which is not an easy feat to do, because Happy does have a whopping 80% win rate on the ladder. But what I have been thinking to myself is, it doesn't really matter if you have a 100% win rate on the ladder. If you have a 100% win rate on the ladder, it does not matter, because you simply will just lose in tournaments. And if you lose in tournaments, it doesn't really matter, because you could have a 100% win rate, or you could be in bronze, and as long as you win tournaments, you still get paid the exact same amount as if you were the best player in the entire world. So it doesn't really matter as long as you win tournaments. And Strelock really doesn't kind of fold under that pressure, and this is in fact tournament gameplay. I think this is Stars Wars, so this is a pretty big tournament, and I think it's worth a couple thousand to in fact win it. So these players are playing for money. But Emperor Cass, you know, like I said before, he's one of I don't know why, but he just seems to have the luck of the gods on his side. Maybe that's just because whenever I hear Emperor Cass, I imagine some sort of emperor, you know, some sort of pharaoh-y kind of guy. And so you know, having pharaoh attire, he has God of Ra on his side. Look at this. I mean, what happens when you get a Reaper out with 9 HP? I mean, that's ridiculous when Marines do 5. So if these 2 Marines had gotten 1 more shot off, that Reaper would have died, but now he has that Reaper to keep scouting and whatnot. He does have a Marine sitting at the zone log tower, so he does feel safe to expand, while as Strelock expanded inside of his base, but he did expand earlier than Cass did. But Cass will have this expansion running up sooner than Strelock, but Strelock will have the mule advantage because he does have these 2 orbital commands here, which is a pretty good thing to have. So he is going to have an extra 300 minerals for a little bit, but now Emperor Cass will quickly catch up because his expansion is already outside of his base. Now, I think that Strelock is a little bit too touchy right now. He is going to be going for, it looks like, Infernal Pre-Igniter with Hellions. So he's going to be going for a massive Hellion push here, because I'm guessing that he's going to switch this factory with this reactor here. Once this tech lab here finishes the infernal pre-igniter upgrade, and now, I mean, that's going to be up to Emperor Cass to hold off, because that's when Strelock will lift this off and put it down here at the expansion, is when he does decide to move out with all of those Hellions. And we'll see what he ends up deciding to do. Actually, he's getting a starport here, so I think he's going to be going for a Hellion drop. He's going to put 4 Hellions inside of a medevac and drop it. Now, this is really dependent on where you spawn on the map, and so I think it's very heads-up play by Strelock to, in fact, put the medevac, or to go for this build, just because when you do spawn close by air, look at this, you can literally see both bases at the same time. I mean, that takes like 1 second for a medevac to fly to. But now that now that Cass feels a little bit of pressure, he's actually going to push out here, and he's actually going to deny this bunker from going up. And that is a pretty big deal, because now Strelock will actually have to get rid of this before he can actually expand out, because he only has 4 Marines sitting inside of a bunker. Actually, no, instead he's going to be opting for, it looks like, 2 more Marines inside of this barracks here. And I do not think that the Blue Terran will be able to expand quite as early as he originally thought. My computer is lagging a little bit, but I think I fixed it. Yeah, I didn't fix it. Gosh, dude, this computer sucks. Hold on, give me a... Alright, no problemo. The lag is not fixed, so I don't think I'll be able to cast this game, which is too bad, because this game is extremely good in my personal opinion, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be able to fight through this lag. I'm going to give it the lag about 5 seconds to work through, and look at that, it works through. Okay, good. The lag did work itself through. I was actually not going to cast this game, but it is an incredibly good game. Now, the god of Ra, Emperor Cass here, the Egyptian pharaoh god, that I imagine inside of my head. I kind of imagine, like, how cool would it be if you saw Emperor Cass decked out in pharaohish attire, just kind of running around with his, with his buddies, and, you know, just kind of praying to the god of Ra whenever he needs a win. And look at this, there's going to be a drop in Emperor Cass's base, so he really should wish that he can, in fact, look at this, I mean, Cass just guessed it. I mean, Cass literally just guessed that this drop was coming, and he kills it. I mean, he just completely shut down that drop. It did 0 damage to him, and look at that. I mean, now he's going to have a pretty sizable lead. He did completely destroy, I was going to say dominate, but I mean, domination doesn't really account for how badly that push was in fact shut down. Now, Strelock really just needs to push out here, because he's going to be pretty far behind. But I mean, look at that. I mean, you can't just guess that a drop like that is coming. I don't know if he maybe scanned it or something, but even if you scan it, that's just heads-up timing. I mean, that's not so much luck, but I mean, who else just has their Marines just sitting right here? I mean, maybe it's not just luck, but Cass is just an opportunist. I think that's more what it is. Cass is just a very, very, very good opportunist. And look at this. He's going to constantly be keeping the pressure in Strelock's face by not actually having any pressure at all, and I mean that in the weirdest way possible by simply saying that he is just going to keep expanding. He's going to keep an expansion ahead of Strelock, and Strelock's already behind, and Strelock knows this, so he's going to try to catch up, but Cass is going to say, you can try to catch up, buddy, but all I'm going to do is expand right behind it and just keep my lead. And it's really going to be hard for Strelock to deal with this, because Cass is playing a player who is ahead in a mirror matchup perfectly. Just stay ahead in expansions and stay ahead in the unit count, because if the other player does decide to go in for an all-in style of play, you'll be in a little bit of trouble. Now, when this is finished, he should just lift it off here, land it, get an orbital command, and transfer the majority of his SDVs from this spot here to this spot here, because he's really going to want as much minerals as possible. Now he's going to start building more barracks here, and I think he's just going to try to wall this off so that Marines and Marauders can't actually be that effective here. Now he's going to be loading up 3 medevacs full of Marines, which is an extremely lot of Marines. That is a high amount of Marines, and there you can see there's not very many Marines here by Strelock. There's only 2 tanks here, but the thing is, if you are going against this kind of a army where they have siege tanks and Marines, you can just Marine drop behind them. That's what I do all the time, because I favor the Marine Marauder army because it's more mobile, and all you have to do is just drop around it and avoid the sieged up siege tanks. Never engage directly on a sieged up siege tank line, even if you do have siege tanks yourself. And you can see he's going to be pushing out here, so now would be the perfect time to drop, and you can see basically lifting up his entire army here, and he should just find the sweet spot around this turret, but instead saying, no, I'm just going to drop right over this turret, screw it, I will lose that and that. But now he's going to siege up inside of the base, and this is where Strelock is saying, crap, man, what is going on? So I'm going to siege up here, but you know, all Cass really has to do here is just kind of stay away from the siege tanks, and his stem here will in fact get rid of all of these siege tanks. This siege tank may go down, but there's actually going to be a lot of Marines pushing in here, and they're going to be taking a massive amount of damage from that siege tank, and I think that that is what Cass wanted to have happen. And now, worst case scenario, he can't just run away. There's going to be a lot of SCV casualties here. The casualties from the SCVs are there, just simply saying, why can't we be friends? And the Marines are saying, because I have a machine gun and you do not. Now the siege tanks here are not even sieging up, so he's going to lose a lot of these siege tanks. I think he may even lose all of them. That was a huge mistake. He could have actually held this push off if he had sieged up his siege tanks. You can see the siege tank in the back here is going to be shelling out a lot of damage, but it will also be shelling damage to his SCV, so I think that this is GG for Strelock. You can see Emperor Cass has a whopping 106 to 56 supply, and I think that, yeah, you can see Cass just macros up another army like it is no problem, whereas Strelock really has nothing. Now he needs to either all in here or just like expand 4 times, something like that. I mean, he's just so far behind that this is going to be an extremely hard thing to deal with. I think Cass is just going to drop right behind him again, and then he's just going to say, haha, probably laugh, little god of raw tears. I mean, or not tears, I mean, this guy is happy. He's going to be smiling like the pharaoh that I am envisioning him that he in fact is. This Marine here just got splattered. I mean, he just got decimated by like 20 machine gun fire, and Strelock was pushing out and then he said GG. I think that's kind of funny. He pushes out here and then he says GG. Now for Floppy Dingle or whatever his name was, he did message me and said, hey, thanks for casting, I love you. And Floppy Dingle, if you watch this game, say I did see that but my computer crashed, so I had to recast this game, but I'm still giving you props. My character name is in fact Big Bear, and my character code is 473, so please watch me, guys. Add me, and I will be more than happy to play with you guys. Floppy Dingle, just re-message me because I was going to add you as a friend, but now I cannot. This is Big Bear StarCraft 2. Hoping you guys have an amazing today and an even better tomorrow, and I am signing